Alrighty, I made a very quiet debut on TikTok a few days ago, and have to say it's a completely shit platform for any kind of debate. But it is good to pump out some really quick debunks, so I can get a video out in about an hour or so, which is a fraction of the time a typical YouTube video takes. So here are the first 3 videos, and I only follow a couple of flirfs on TikTok, and one of those guys is Angels of Light. You might remember I debated him on Jeranism back in January 2024, and he was absolutely atrocious. He's probably one of the reasons Jeran stopped doing debates.
I mean, I had to stop doing debates on my channel because I couldn't take how bad flat earthers were doing anymore. And it didn't feel right for me to tell them they can't debate. So they would just come and say like, oh, Jeran, I'm going to debate Ruhif. I'm like, no, I don't want you to get destroyed by Ruhif.
Yeah, boy. All right, so the link to the debate between me and Angel will be in the description. Anyway, he put out a video of some ship spotting from the 31st of May, claiming the usual, we see too far. So here's a quick clip, and apologies for the aspect ratio, obviously, but that's TikTok.
All right, I did some more observations today of the ocean from the park, and according to this topography elevation calculator, I was about 7 to 8 meters above sea level, and then I will add 6 feet for the camera height, even though my tripod is not even that high. Here's the first ship. I'll scroll across to show you the position and how far away it is from me, and it tells me that it's 12 nautical miles away, right there. I then zoom in with my P1000, and we can see the entire ship. Apart from the miraging at the bottom there, we are seeing the entire ship.
All right, let's get on with the fun part. So first thing is confirming his observer location. So at the top is the screenshot from his video, and you can see all those little dots are trees. So I've made them a little bit easy to see. And now you can see the Google Earth screenshot at the bottom, and those little dots line up perfectly with the trees from the aerial view. So Angel claims to be right above that dot, and his little app gives him an observer height of 8 meters. But is that where he actually was? Clearly not. So the top half is a screenshot from his video, and the bottom is a screenshot from Google Street View. Obviously, Street View is taken from the street, and Angel was closer than that, so there's a little bit of parallax to take into account. But my best estimate for his actual observer location is here. Is that where he said he was? No, of course it fucking wasn't. There is his claimed observer location in the top left, and there is his actual observer location, 65 meters away. It really shouldn't be that hard to document your observations properly. But you have to remember sort of who we're dealing with. In Angel's favor, there happens to be a survey benchmark very close with a height of under 5 meters. Now in the database, it's listed as not found, which usually means it's been destroyed by new landscaping or something like that. So the height may or may not be super accurate, but we'll assume it is for the sake of the video. So 5 meter ground level plus 1.5 meters for his tripod gives us a 6.5 meter observer height. He used 10 meters in his curve calculations, so you can thank me later, champ. All right, so we have his observer coordinates locked down pretty tight. Let's see if we can figure out what direction he's looking. All right, so when he zooms in with his P1000, he zooms in over the top of those bushes where that big arrow is, which is halfway between this bush on the left and the edge of the tree on the right. And we can fairly easily identify those in Google Earth. So the bush is at 189 degrees and the edge of the tree is at about 211 degrees, which means Angel is looking through the middle of those at about 200 degrees. All right, now to identify the ship. And instead of being a normal person and taking a fucking screenshot, Angel decided to wave his phone in front of the camera. So I can barely make out anything in this frame except for the longitude, which is 144.7729. If you watch the raw video that he uploaded, you can get a better view of various parts of the phone screen in different frames, but this frame was the best I could find for the longitude. So Angel also says that the distance is 12 nautical miles, so let's basically use what we have and see if we can work out where the ship is. So what I've done here is draw 2 circles around the observer. The inner circle has a radius of 11.5 nautical miles and the outer circle has a radius of 12.5 nautical miles. Obviously that's just to take into account any possible rounding errors in the distance given by marine traffic. So the boat is somewhere inside those circles. All right, but we also know the longitude of the boat, and that's what that little white line represents. So the ship is somewhere on that white line. If we could read the latitude from Angel's video, then we'd know exactly where, but we can only work with the data we have. So then all I did is trace lines from the observer to each end of that white line, and that's where we would need to be looking to see the YANGTZE Dignity. Unfortunately for Angel, those sight lines are nowhere near where he was actually looking. So to see the YANGTZE Dignity, he'd need to be looking somewhere between 209 and 212 degrees. But we've just worked out that he was looking at about 200 degrees. So, Angel, my boy, you're about 10 degrees off. You've got the wrong boat. So let's look at the ship he actually captured in the video, which has a big fat sign on the side that says Wisdom Line. And I'm sure it won't come to a shock to you that the YANGTZE Dignity does not have a big sign that says Wisdom Line on it, because Wisdom Lines does not own YANGTZE Dignity. Now, Wisdom Lines does have a list of their ships on their website, and from his footage, I was pretty sure that the last letter of the first word was an A, and I think I've narrowed it down to one of the Poavasa Wisdom ships. Obviously, if you can get a hold of the historical tracking data, we can confirm exactly what ship it was. I don't know, I feel like that should be Angel's job, given that he's the one that fucked it up. Now, shocker, I know, but after I called him out on his live stream about the claim that the sun changes size during the day, he has blocked me on TikTok. So yeah, very, very brave. So if anyone wants to do an experiment to see how fragile the Flurf ego is, try to bring this debunk to his attention and see if he'll admit that he misidentified the ship. I think we all know the answer to that is that you gotta light a Flurf. And if you want to know how to correctly identify ships, then just quietly, I was in Jaren's ear last year before TFE, recording a few unlisted videos for him, showing how I can identify that tiny speck on the horizon, just here, as the ship on the right, the HL Haedong, which was about 46 kilometers away, and the entire hull is below the horizon. All right, that'll do for now. If you managed to get Angel to respond, let me know how it went in the comments.